court with the present. Ms. Lott?
Thank you, Your Honor. One of the sidebars that we had just previously when Ms. Walton was concerned that we were going to bring up the conviction of Ms. Hughes made me go back and look at Ms. Hughes' criminal history. And I discovered...
Just a second, we have Ms. Hughes in the court.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, I did not want that.
Why not? Talk about it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I discovered upon looking at her criminal history that she does have a conviction for false reports to law enforcement authorities, a serious misdemeanor from 2001. I do understand that under Rule 5.609, typically evidence of this nature would not come in because the conviction is more than 10 years old. However, the court can determine that in the interest of justice, the probative value of the conviction, supported by specific facts and circumstances, substantially outweigh its prejudicial effect. The rule also requires that we would give advance written notice to the state in order to give them the opportunity to contest the use of such evidence. In this instance, we're asking the court to waive that written notice. It sounds like the state has had the opportunity to contest the use of the evidence since they're the ones who brought it up at the sidebar. I would also ask that the court allow us to introduce this evidence, even though it is 10 years old, because it is important. Ms. Hughes is one of the main witnesses against Mr. Liggins in this case. Obviously, her testimony was originally given back in 1992, 1993, 1995, and so I don't know that the rule really contemplates this scenario. And I think it's important that the jury hear that this witness has the type of credibility is such that she's the type of person who is willing to lie to law enforcement, and in fact, she has been guilty of doing so. And so I'm asking that we be permitted to introduce that as impeachment evidence against Ms. Hughes.
Just so I make sure I understand, you're claiming that she had a 2001 serious misdemeanor conviction that she pled guilty to?
Yes, for false reports to law enforcement.
And that was in this package?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Walton?
Your Honor, a couple things. I mean, the rule clearly requires that the adverse party be given reasonable written notice of the intent to use it. It's well known that Ms. Hughes was a witness in this case. We have never received any written notice, and so that the party has fair opportunity to contest its use. And we have never received written notice of that, and I don't see that the rule allows any exception. Also, I note that, Ms. Hughes has testified 3 times prior to 2001. And her testimony has been consistent today with her prior testimony. So her conviction does not have probative value since her testimony occurred prior to her conviction. So it does not really have any relevance to her impetus to testify or her motives or her credibility. I would also argue that for that reason, and due to the nature of this case and her testimony, that the probative value of this is not substantially outweighed by its prejudicial effect. I know that it's a serious misdemeanor. I know that when the rule discusses the crimes regarding dishonesty, when the crime involves dishonesty, that it can be brought in if the conviction is more than 10 years old. But I do note that it is a 17-year-old conviction. I feel that all the factors involved here should lead you, Your Honor, to conclude that it's prejudicial value, or its probative value is does not substantially outweigh its prejudicial effect, and that the defense has not abided by 5.609 and asks that they not be able to impeach her.
Well, I will waive the requirement that they provide notice. However, at this point, I'm going to say that this conviction does not come in because it was given quite a few years after she already gave this testimony. So if she testifies consistent with what she said in 93, 95, and in any other sworn testimony prior to 2001, then it's not going to come in. If you can actually truly impeach her, then I would like you to ask for sidebar and discuss it further. But if you're using the prior testimony to just refresh a recollection, that's not going to convince me that this 2001 conviction will come in.
Understood.
Everybody understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
One more thing, part of the sidebar as well before we took away was my concern with Ms. Hughes' eyesight.
Yes.
And I was informed that her sight is not enabled to read. So the form will look different from impeachment purposes. So if we're looking at prior statements of Ms. Hughes, I will announce where I'm looking at after I've asked her the question. I'll give the page and the lines, and then my understanding is that I'll be allowed to read that transcript to her and then see what her answers are. So
Yes.
it'll be a little bit different form than this.
Yes. And I think we had another couple of sidebars earlier today. I know at least two of them involved just straight logistics of where we're going to be located next week, as well as some timing issues. I don't think we had any other substantive sidebars. Mr. Walton, you recall any?
Off the top of my head.
I don't have a memory version.
Shall we have the jury?
Should we have Ms. Hughes seated first?
Yes, let's do that.
That's a good idea.
We're going to let you get a seat before we bring the jury in. So you don't have to. A little less nerve wracking.
All right, let's have the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, just so you're aware, I didn't tell Ms. Hughes that she would be seated as you came in. And Ms. Hughes, we're now ready to have cross-examination. Please remember you're still under oath. Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Hughes. Back in October of 1990, was that the first time that you had contact with law enforcement about this case? What was the first time that you had contact with law enforcement about this case in October of 1990, October 2nd?
Yeah.
And was that because basically what had happened is that you had called in an anonymous tip related to the 1301 Vine?
Right.
And then ultimately, as I understand it, law enforcement traced you to, at one point, having lived at 1301 Vine, is that right?
Right.
And that's when they that's when they caught up and found you living, I think at the time, at 511 West Lopez Street, is that right?
I believe you're right.
And so that was, I know the first time, do you remember the officer that you spoke with? I know that's asking a lot.
I know young woman. Are you young?
Am I young?
I can't remember.
I feel young, but I'm not young. Okay, do you know if does Murphy ring a bell?
Yeah, you know, you might be right, yeah.
Okay. And I know it was a long time ago, but somebody from law enforcement came out and talked to you.
Right.
Okay. And I'm guessing a lot of the time went by. You didn't talk, did you talk to the police again? Did, like investigators or anybody else like that were following up with you?
Him?
Or anybody?
Him? Raise your hand.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yeah, everything.
Oh, okay. No, but I mean like law enforcement.
No, I don't remember that.
Nobody from, no detective, nobody else besides the person who came inside.
No.
So really the first time that you had anything to do with the case would have been when you gave a deposition in 1992, is that right?
That's true.
Okay. And then at the time that you called in the tip in October, about 1301 August, and they came out and talked to you, did you mention anything at all about seeing a vehicle the first time you talked to law enforcement?
Yeah.
You told Officer Murphy that?
Yeah.
Did you mention anything at all to Officer Murphy at the time that you saw anything different about the taillight?
No.
Okay. You didn't say that to Officer Murphy?
No.
So then, is it the first time that you were telling people that there might have been something different about the taillights that you saw? That would have been in 1992 at the deposition, right? Do you remember?
I remember. I ain't said that.
You did testify about seeing a difference in the taillights at both the trials, though, didn't you?
No. I did not. I don't remember that.
Okay, I'll get there, ma'am. I have ways to help out with that, okay? You, was it Oaks Forest, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you also know a Forest Oaks?
That's the same man.
Same man, okay.
Same man. There's a different twister around.
Just flipping them around.
Yeah.
Okay, and so, so if I say Horace Oaks, then I'm talking about the same guy as Horace
Yeah.
Oaks.
His first name is Horace. Last name Oak.
And at the time and he was the individual you had a date with that night, is that right? That yes?
Yeah.
Okay. And was Mr. Oaks an older gentleman at the time?
Yeah. He was.
Would 87 years old be about how old he was?
Possibly. Yes. Possibly.
But if you had said that he was 87 years old in a deposition, you wouldn't disagree with that?
I wouldn't disagree, but Oak didn't talk about his age. He talked about things I wasn't really interested in, about wars, and I didn't know about the war.
I hate to ask you, how old were you at the time you were your eyesight?
I was in my 20s.
20s, okay. Now, let's talk about the, did you ever tell some attorneys when you were first sitting in a room at that deposition, and I'm not sure if you know what deposition means, but you do remember the first time that it was in the trial that you were asked to come down and by attorneys. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, at that first time you came down, well, let me back then. So as I understand it, you were looking out a window from Mr. Oaks' house, is that right?
Yeah.
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
You didn't go outside and look at the fire or anything like that, it was all from the kitchen?
No, we never went outside.
So if were there drapes or anything like that on the windows or screens?
It was kitchen curtains, no blind, a screen outside, but that was it.
And if I remember correctly, and if I don't, I want you to correct me, but at least the testimony was that I believe you went in to look for some cigarettes,
Right.
and that's when you first saw a fire. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then it was, I think, did you leave the kitchen and then return again? Is that what happened?
Went to right there, no further than where you said, to House Oak. Okay. The house at Oak is lit Oak. No, I can't find his cigarettes. Where are they? He walked in, he had one arm. He walked in, opened the cabinet, pointed up, said it right there.
And then it was sometime later then that you saw the car down by the fire. Is that right?
It wouldn't be late. What do you mean late?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was.
A couple minutes, a couple seconds.
But
No, it would have been about 10, 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah, about 20 minutes. 10, 15 minutes between 20. That's the way it was.
And it was dark outside?
It wasn't what you call super dark. You know, let's say midnight, 10 o'clock, and get going, really till late.
You had a date with Mr. Oaks that night, right? And had Mr. Oaks was always on time, correct?
Always. Never.
Always on time or maybe a little early, correct? Never late. And is your memory that date was at 9 o'clock?
You know, when we said that, Oak was always there at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock at night. He was always there.
Always there.
On time, 9 o'clock.
And is that the time that you would have seen? Well, obviously it's around that time because Mr. Oaks was there, correct?
Yeah.
And then you were there, correct?
Yeah.
And you had a date at 9 o'clock.
Right.
And then sometime after that you saw the fire. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then sometime after you saw the fire, you saw the car.
Yes.
And if it was dark outside, it's close to 9. Would you agree with me back then? It would have been dark outside.
2.
Okay. And is it true that it was dark enough that if somebody walked across the street and hollered at you, you wouldn't have seen who they were? Like, you wouldn't have been able to identify who they were.
I don't know about that. I had 20/20 vision back then.
Well, I'm not saying you couldn't see, but the darkness might have hurt it, correct?
No, I don't think so. It didn't then?
I'm at the deposition page 9. Uh, 17 through 24.
Line 17 through 24?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Reed?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, my understanding is that the eyesight is, your eyesight has deteriorated enough that it would be difficult for you to read if I was saying stuff to you. Is that fair?
It's bad. My eyesight is bad.
I understand that. So instead of me coming up and asking you to read from transcripts, I'm going to read to you what's in the transcripts and then ask you some questions, okay? Or at least ask you questions with the transcript. Now, you do remember that deposition, that first time you talked to attorneys back in '92, right? That you had one of those.
Yes.
Okay. And at that deposition, if you were asked, it was past dusk, question mark, and your answer was, it was past dusk. It was turning dark. I mean, it was what, about 8:50? And then you were asked, it was about 8:50, and your answer was, yeah, 8:50. I say 5 minutes to 9 or 5 after 9, no later. It was dark. You couldn't, I mean, if somebody walked across the street and hollered at me, I couldn't have seen who they was. Do you remember that?
I remember the time only because Oak was always on time. But saying that, I don't remember saying that part you said I said. I don't remember that.
That transcript, do you have any reason to disagree with the accuracy of that transcript that I just read from?
I disagree with that part of if someone hollered across. I wouldn't have said that. I was in my 20s. I was young. I had 20/20, not to sleep.
But because it was dark and because of the distance to the car, you weren't able to determine the color of the vehicle, could you?
No, I don't think nobody in here could.
But that night when you're looking at it, and when you talk to law enforcement, you weren't able to say it was a red car, brown car, or anything like that. You were just able to see lights, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in the 1993 trial, again, you really have no question but that Mr. Oakes would have been there around the 9 o'clock hours, correct?
Right.
And that you would have seen the fire in the car out there sometime after that, correct?
Right. It could have been. Oak was always there on time. Never, that man was never late or early. He'd be 5 minutes. 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after, but he wasn't going to be what you call 15, 20 minutes late. He wasn't going to be that.
So, 13th Street where you're at, that is north of 12th Street, correct?
Yeah, but he said no.
And I know, can you see well enough that we see generally a map? I'm not going to ask you about lettering and stuff on there.
If you bring it right here, put it right here.
Ma'am, I'll give it a shot. Okay? If we can't do it, I understand. That's okay.
Put it right in front of you.
going to show you Exhibit 63 so I can put it right.
That wouldn't be north anyway.
Okay, well, maybe we can do this. Can you actually see Jefferson School on that, in that picture?
I can't see that.
Can't see that?
I can't even see what it is.
Let me ask this, can you see the red sticker?
I see that.
Okay.
But I can't see what it was.
Right. That's fine. So really, you can see the red sticker, but the picture is kind of...
I can't see the picture.
Is that red sticker, is that on the bottom right-hand side of that picture, is that right?
Yeah.
That's on the right?
It's on the right, if I'm saying. On this.
Okay, yeah. If you're seeing it right, okay.
Was that 63 or?
I'm sorry, 63. So the car, as I understand it, in order for you to see the taillights, it would have had to have been traveling away from you. Is that correct?
True.
And you described it early on in your testimony that 12th Street kind of turns into Vine at that point around the curve, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be going down the hill. Oak House up north with my house. We said north. Ain't no way he could have been going north because I've been going down the hill. That would have been going towards the east. That's been going towards the Centennial Way, towards the bridge. I've been going towards the track.
Well, and I'm not trying to confuse you, and you know, I'm not from the Davenport area either. I know that north-south there is difficult. So I'll just talk about it as in order for you to see the taillights, he would have had been going away from you.
He would.
And in order to get, and if he was on 12th Street, he would have been parallel to you. In other words, all you would have seen in that car is the side of it. You wouldn't be able to see the lights yet, right?
Now say it again.
I'll try.
I didn't understand.
If you're looking from 13th down to 12th Street, and if the car is going from right to left, and you're looking from Mr. Oak's house, you would just see the doors, you wouldn't see the taillights yet, correct?
Right, you're right there.
And so then, where you're saying you saw the taillights was when that vehicle went around that bend, and then it would have its rear view, correct?
It would have stopped at the stop sign. There's a stop sign that says stay.
There's a stop sign at when 12th Street turns into Vine?
Turns into 10, it is 10th, it would be 10th.
Right, he would have gone down 10th. Okay.
It either went through 10th, then he would hit 9th. Then he would hit 8th, 7th, like that.
Now, are there, now the curve there, from 12th to Vine, were there bushes along that curve?
You know, I don't remember that. I can't say that for sure because that was a long time ago. I can't say that. I can't.
Have you testified before when you were talking about the left side being real bright and the right side being kind of dim, that it was because of the bushes?
I don't know. I don't remember that, saying that. I'm not going to say I didn't say it because I can't remember.
I understand. I'm at the 3, page 550. 551, and just down to 106.
Just down the lines.
Thank you. Ma'am, I have in my hand a transcript of your testimony from 1993 trial. And you remember being asked, what did you notice about the car as it left? Your answer being, as it went around the curve, there was a curve, a real sharp curve. I would say a good 20 miles per hour. It was going as slow, kind of picking up speed. When it got to the end, you couldn't see it. You could see the taillights, and you couldn't really see which way it went, but you could see the brakes, like the lights were bright. It was real bright. The left light was real bright on the left-hand side. And the question you were asked was, what about the right light? And your answer was, it was kind of dim. I think it was because of the bushes.
I don't understand that.
And I understand the lapse of time. Do you have any reason to disagree with this transcript? That's what you would have testified to at the 93 trial?
If I said it, yeah, I would have said it again.
You don't have to believe that whoever's taking it down was putting words in your mouth or anything, right?
You know, I learned in life a lot of that happened.
But with the trial transcript, you don't have any reason to argue with the words that were typed down when you were in the courtroom.
No, I don't. I really don't.
And in the 1995 trial, again, I believe you were convinced that your 95 time frame, because of your date with Mr. Oakes, excuse me, you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
And again, just like you were asked here in 1995, where he asked if there was anything significant about those lights. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. 595, second. 17.
You're going to read it?
Yeah. Well, I've asked some questions for you. I was going to ask some additional questions.
Oh, it just sounded like you were maybe summarizing instead of reading. I would prefer that you just read it.
How about I ask some questions and then if there's an objection, just let me know. But I want to ask about Exhibit 86 now. Okay. Ma'am, your testimony earlier was that the video that you were showing of the car and that was just as you remember it. Being shown to be in the courtroom in 93 and 95, correct?
Yeah.
And at the time you were asked to testify, to actually get that car in the courtroom about what they were showing you back then, correct? About the Exhibit 86.
Yeah.
About those statements. And at the time, you remember being asked, is there anything significant about those lights? You remember answering, yes, there is. The left light is brighter than the right light. You remember that?
Yes, I do remember.
I apologize. That doesn't seem like the same lines you told me. On 595? Yeah. 595, line 17.
Ma'am, we'll try again. The first part of the question, I'm sorry for omitting it, line 17, was now sit back down if you would. And then do you remember being asked anything significant about those lights? Yes, there is. The left light is brighter, or answer, excuse me. Yes, there is. The left light is brighter than the right light. Same as your 93 testimony, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you have any reason to doubt that that's what you said in the 95 testimony?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any further questions.
Do you redirect?
Just briefly, Ms. Hughes, Mr. Hawbaker just asked you about your testimony in the 1995 trial. And this was with regard to the questions you were asked when you were directed to look at the car in the courtroom. And he read you some lines that he read, lines 17 through 20 on one of the pages. And then I'm just going to read the following questions as Mr. Davis was referring to the car. On page 595, starting at line 21 through line 24. On line 21, you were asked, recognize those lights? And you answered, yes, I do. Then you were asked, are those the ones you saw that night? And your answer was, yes, they are. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I do.
I have no further questions.
How far away from that car were you?
Oh, I would say about 2 blocks, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, are you referring to in the courtroom? How far was she away?
No, she answered the question.
Or that
I understand what you're saying. From the window to the corner,
Yeah.
how about 2 blocks?
You have any idea how many feet that is?
Offhand, used to, I was young again, but now I don't.
That's fine.
I'm being honest, I don't.
That's all I hear. Thank you, ma'am. Don't have any other questions.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Ms. Hughes.
Thank you, Ms. Hilton.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the state may call us next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. This time, the state would propose to read the transcript of Donald Lopez, marked as State's Exhibit 506. That is going to be read into the record by Mike Hudson.
What transcript is that?
That would be the 1995.
Right, exhibit 506 is in there.
Don Lopez called as rebuttal witness by the state. Being first duly sworn by the court, was examined and testified as follows. Direct examination. Mr. Lopez, tell these folks who you are.
My name is Don Lopez,
Spell your last name.
L-O-P-U-Z.
Back in September of 1990, were you employed?
Max Discount Liquor.
What did you do there?
Clerk.
Do you know a person who lived in the neighborhood by the name of Joseph Glenn or Ace?
Yes.
Did you know him on site?
Yes.
Do you remember the day that Jennifer disappeared and all the investigation started?
Yes.
Did you you see Mr. Glenn on that day?
Yes.
And can you recall what time of the day it would have been?
Approximately 8:15 to 8:45 in the morning.
Did he come into the store?
Yes.
For what reason?
His car had broken down or ran out of gas. He coasted into the parking lot and wanted to know if he could leave it there while he got gas.
Did you assure him it was all right?
I said it'd be fine to leave it there.
You didn't go out and check, did you?
No.
I hand you what's been accepted into evidence of State's Exhibits 66 and 67. Sir, can you identify for this jury what those photographs are of?
Max Discount Liquor.
The place where you work?
Yes.
The place where Mr. Glenn came in and told you his car was in your lot?
Yes.
No further questions.
You may prosecute.
Did you see the car?
No.
So you were just assuming that he was telling you the truth. You're assuming that Mr. Glenn was telling you the truth about his circumstances.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
No further requests.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. You may sit down.
Your Honor, at this time, we are going to read in the prior sworn testimony of Charlotte McCray. It will be read by Molly Tomshaw. It is Exhibit 507.
Exhibit 507 is in the
Charlotte McCray, called as a witness by the state, being first duly sworn by the court, was examined and testified as follows. Direct examination. Would you please introduce yourself? Tell us your full name.
Charlotte McCray.
Spell your last name.
MCCRAY.
You're not as soft-spoken as I thought. Do you run a business, Mrs. McCray?
Yes, I do.
And what's that business called?
Max Discount Liquor, 820 11th Street, Rock Island.
How long have you been doing that?
I would say 7 years.
Do you own that place?
Yes, I do. My husband and I.
What kind of place is it? What kind of business?
Mainly, it's beer, liquor, chips, pop, candy.
Is it a place that young people are allowed to come to buy things?
Yes.
It's not a bar or anything like that.
No, it isn't.
I'm going to hand you what's been accepted into evidence as State's Exhibits 66 and 67 and tell the jury whether this is your place.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Do you remember the police? Wait, yes. Do you remember the police coming to your store and asking you about a little girl?
Yes, I do.
Now, rather than keep saying September 17th, 1990, we'll refer to that day as the day the police came to see you. Did you see that little girl in State's Exhibit 1 on that day?
Yes, I did.
Now you went soft on me. Was that a yes?
Yes.
Do you recall what time of day you would have seen her?
I would say between 6:15 and probably 6:45
And do you remember?
p.m.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, in the afternoon.
Was there anyone else in the store when she came in?
No, there was not.
Did she purchase something?
Yes, she did.
What was that?
A pack of juicy fruit gum.
Did she say anything about the gum?
Yes, she did.
What did she say?
Objection, hearsay.
Objection is overruled.
What did she say?
She said that she was buying this gum for a friend.
Did she say anything about that?
Yes. She usually stops and we laugh and talk about school or how she's doing and her new baby brother at the time, who was a small baby, and she had such a pretty dress. I stopped and asked, if you're having a program at school, you look so pretty. She said, I can't talk, Miss Mack. I have to go home. I have to take this juicy fruit gum home to my friend. He's at home waiting. By that, she turned around and walked out.
Do you remember the police officers coming and talking to you?
Yes, I do.
You knew who they were talking about?
I sure do.
They didn't show you a picture, did they?
A picture of what?
Of the little girl like I just showed you?
Yes, they did, yes.
And you knew her?
Oh, sure.
In fact, today you knew her by name. Did you know her by name then?
Yes, I did.
And did you tell those police officers on that same day that she disappeared what time she had come in?
Yes, I did.
And in fact, you've been asked several times about this, have you not?
Yes, I have.
And do you remember the first time that you talked to the police about what time Jennifer had come in?
The first time I talked to the police, when they first came in and they were asking me questions and had showed me a picture. I'm pretty sure I had told them that she had been in, and it had to be after 6 because of the time my paper is delivered. And we also have a janitor that comes in every day at the same time at 4:30. And he's gone at the same time because he catches a bus, and he's usually gone by 6. So this had to be after 6, between any time after 6 and 6:45.
So we've got a 45-minute span that you've got it narrowed down to that she could have come in.
Right.
I have no further direct examination, Your Honor.
You may cross-examine.
Miss McCray, do you remember talking with me before?
Yes, I do.
And that was here at the courthouse down in the county attorney's office.
Right?
Do you remember that?
Right.
Now, you're one of the owners of Max Liquor Store.
Yes.
You work the same time every day?
Right.
And what time do you come into work?
I start working at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
And how late do you work?
Until closing. Sometimes we close early, between 12:30 and 1:45. Always by 1 we're closed.
Now, you knew Jennifer Lewis because she would come into your store many times, is that right?
Yes.
Do you have a cleaning man that came in to clean up your store every day?
Yes, we did.
And when did he come in?
He would come in every day, I would say at least by 4:30.
And how long would he work?
It depends, but usually he was gone through between 10 minutes to 6, he was gone.
Now, you talked to me back on September 3rd of 1992 about this, is that right?
Right.
Do you remember what time you told me that Jennifer came into your store on September 17th when we talked?
You know, I think I told you it was in September, it was still light out. She came in, the reason I knew approximately, it's been a long time. It's been over 2 years approximately, what time it was, because my newspaper, which comes at a certain time, and also my janitor.
Do you remember what time you told me that the newspaper came?
My newspaper at that time came around 4:30.
And do you remember telling me that's when your newspaper usually comes, about 4:30?
About that time, depending on the paper girl.
Do you remember telling me about watching the news at all?
I remember telling you I watched the news. I watched the 5 o'clock news, and I watched the 6 o'clock news. Right.
Do you remember telling me you turned the news on at 5?
Yes.
Do you remember telling...
I think I do.
Do you remember telling me that Jennifer came in to see you between the time your paper got there and before you turned on your news? Or turned your news on?
Well, it just depends. Sometimes my paper comes late. The paper girl never delivers the paper exactly at the same time every night. I do look at the news, at the 5 o'clock news, and also the 6 o'clock news, And the reason I know was because my janitor leaves at 6. Sometimes a little before, but usually by 6 o'clock.
If I could, Mr. McCray, I would like to hand you page 15 of the transcript of your deposition that you gave for me. And I ask you to review that now and read that page, just to yourself at this time. Were you able to read all of that?
Yep.
Do you remember me asking those questions and you giving those answers?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember before we started this swearing to tell the truth like you did in court today?
Your Honor, I'll object.
Right. It's been so long. It's been over 2 years. Whatever I said when I first came over and I talked with them over there. Whatever I said, the same night the policeman came, and I went down and I gave my statement. Then I came over and I gave another statement. But like I said, I don't remember. It's been such a long while back now, over 2 years.
When you told me back in September of 1992, Jennifer came into your business between 4:30 and 5, was that the truth at the time?
When she came in at
Between 4:30 and 5. Were you telling me the truth then?
between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, I might have been wrong on the time, but I know it was around the time.
Do you remember talking to a detective by the name of Don Huss?
Yes.
Do you remember talking to him about what time Jennifer came in to see you on September 17th?
Not really. Are you talking about 2 years ago?
Yes.
No, I don't remember what we talked about. We talked about Jennifer, but going back on this time, I can't really say. I can't remember.
Do you remember talking to Rock Island police officers named Donald Reichert, Thomas Ott, and Dale Duesenberg?
I remember speaking with them.
Do you know what time you told those individuals what time Jennifer came into your business that day?
I don't remember. It had to have been about the same time.
The way you remember what time she came in is based on how your newspaper got there and when the news came on. Is that right?
Also on what time my janitor leaves, right? And he usually leaves around 6 o'clock. Sometimes between 5:45 to 6, he's gone.
Now, your janitor, he cleans up around inside your business and also the outside.
Yes.
Does he do the inside first and then the outside?
Yes, the inside first.
So after he finished up inside, would he go outside?
Right.
Did Jennifer come to your store on September 17, 1990 while your janitor was still working?
No, I think Jennifer came after he had left. Because usually, if he's outdoors cleaning at the time, he would have seen her, and he would have spoke to me about it.
Did your janitor ever talk to you about Jennifer coming into the store on September 17, 1990?
No. My janitor is deceased now. No, I can't remember that he did.
Did he talk to you at all? Remember him talking to you about it?
He had seen her there at the store before, earlier in the afternoon when she had come.
Do you remember him talking to you about her coming into the store on September 17, 1990?
No, I don't remember it.
I would like to hand you pages 11 and 12 of the deposition, that deposition that you gave for me last September, and I would ask you to read from lines 23 through 15 on page 11, and lines 1 through 23 on page 12. Have you had sufficient time to read those now, Mr. McCray?
Sure have.
Does that refresh your recollection at all about whether your janitor was at your business when Jennifer came there on September 17, 1990?
He was there every day. He cleaned up every day. He was outdoors. He talked with people. He spoke to people. And I'm pretty sure if he had seen her, he spoke to the children. He did.
Based upon what you said, do you remember now talking with janitor about seeing Jennifer Lewis, now talking with your janitor about seeing Jennifer Lewis on September 17, 1990?
I tried to remember since John has been deceased for over a year and a half. I can't relate back to him now that he's not here. It's hard for me to remember back. But if I said that John probably did see her, or maybe he was leaving at that time. So I really can't say. I don't remember that good.
Is the reason you can't remember because of the passage of time?
Because of what?
The passage of so much time since the incident.
Yes, it is.
Now, less time had passed last September, obviously, when you spoke to me and told me that your janitor had seen Jennifer that day. Is that correct?
Correct. Since John had passed and I haven't been able to speak to him about seeing her. He could have said that he had seen her. Like I said, there's nothing I can say about that, mainly because he isn't here.
Is it your recollection now, based upon reading what I just handed you, that Jennifer Lewis was at your store at the same time your janitor was?
It could have been.
And that would have been before 6, is that correct?
It could have been.
Now, you also spoke with some police officers right after this incident happened, the next day or so, is that right?
Right.
Do you recall talking with the Rock Island officer by the name of Dan Wood?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall what time you told him Jennifer had been to see you the day before?
I don't recall, because he more than likely came in the same evening after it happened, didn't he?
That's correct.
Okay.
I would like to hand you a copy of a police report that Mr. Wood I'm going to direct you to page 188, line 2. I take that back. I'm going to direct you back to page 187. And I'll start at line 20, where I read that before. Okay? Now, I'd like to hand you a copy of the police report that Mr. Wood wrote concerning his interview with you. I would like you to read that yellow part right there. Could you read that out loud?
Objection, Your Honor, it's not in evidence.
Objection is sustained.
Can you read that to yourself, that yellow part? Does that help refresh your recollection all about when Jennifer came into your store that day?
I still say it had to be around the time that I said it was. It had to be around the time that I said it was.
The time that you say it was, the time that you told Detective Wood?
Well, I base everything on my janitor being there, then leaving at a certain time, and he usually leaves at the same time every day. Now I could, maybe I don't remember good. Maybe I made a mistake when I was talking to him. I was very upset when I heard this, and they brought this into me.
I understand, Ms. McCray, but is it possible that Jennifer came into your store based upon what you've reviewed today to refresh your recollection? Is it possible that she actually came into your store between 5:30 and 6?
Oh, I don't remember, because I always based it, like I said, him leaving at 6 o'clock, and she was there. Like I said, it had to be. Unless John could have left 5, 10, 15 minutes sometimes, because he catches the bus. But it had to be around that time, and by the 6 o'clock news. So I don't know was...
So Jennifer came into your store on September 17th before 6?
I can't say before 6 o'clock. I could say 6 or a little after, because more than likely, when I turned the news on, or to look at the news, it's 6 o'clock. And I do remember the time. I'm pretty sure it was a little after 6.
Is it the local news that you were turning on?
The 6 o'clock news.
And was Jennifer coming to your store before you turned the news on?
I talked to her only for probably at the most 2 or 3 minutes. Like I said, we had that one sentence. The news was still on. The news was still on when Jennifer was there, and Jennifer left when the news was still on. The news came on at 6. Jennifer and I had one small conversation. Didn't take but 2 seconds at the most.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Can you redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. McCray, how many times did Jennifer come into your store the last day that you saw her?
The last day I saw her, she came in just that once.
Is that when she bought the gun?
Yes.
No further questions.
Thank you. No, is there anything else with this witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have this witness read the answers that Mrs. McCray gave in the deposition that was taken of her, and Mr. Hoggaker has that deposition. You're going to mark that as an exhibit, just for the record.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, it would be your exhibit, so let's mark exhibit A. Could you have those marked? B. All right, exhibit B is connected.
I'll direct you, this is deposition Charles McCray. I'm directing you to line 7 of the page. Do kids come in after school for snacks and that type of thing?
Yes, they do. On the way home from school, they stop by to pick up a pop or potato chips.
Did Jennifer do that a lot?
I can't say a lot. Usually Jennifer would come in, I would say after school early. The reason I say early, because she's never out after dark. She never came in after dark. She came in early, and it was always after school most of the time. She would probably go home and change her clothes and come back out like most children do, or either some stop right by after school and pick up their snacks or whatever they want.
So she generally would come in before supper time?
No, not generally. It just depends, unless someone sends her to the store.
Okay, do you remember Jennifer coming in on September 17th, 1990?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember that date because that's the date she disappeared, or is there anything else that sticks out in your mind about that date?
Oh, I can't think of nothing else sticking out in my mind, except she did come in that day, and when she came in, my newspaper usually comes between 4 and 4:30, 4:45, and usually I sit down and read my paper before I turn the news on. This is how I know what time it is. My newspaper comes in, and then I usually turn on the news, which is at 5 o'clock, so it was before then.
That she came in?
Because the news hadn't come on yet. And she came in, like I said, and she said, "Hi, Miss Mack." And she laughed, and I said, "How are you today?" And she said, "Oh, fine." And we usually have a little conversation about, I ask her how she's doing in school, or how her little newborn baby brother is. She said, "Oh, Miss Mack," she says, "I can't talk today. I'm in a hurry. I have to go home." I said, "Oh, okay. I just thought maybe you were going to a party or had something going on at school." I said, "You got such a pretty little dress." And she had her hair fixed pretty, and she had pretty little barrettes because I commented. I said, "You look so pretty today." She said, "Thank you." And she stopped me and said, "I can't talk long," she said. "I have to go home. I came to buy a pack of gum." I said, "Oh, you don't want anything else?" She usually gets we have for little kids, the little small spicy sticks. We have the little fries. We have everything for the smaller children. She was very intelligent. She was a very intelligent little girl, and she would usually tell me how she's doing in school, and just, her birthday or whatever. I just like to talk to the little kids when they came in. So she said, "May I have a pack of juicy fruit?" I said, "Okay, how many?" She said, "Just one." I just got enough money for one. So I said, "Okay." I handed it to her, and she says, "Thank you." She said, "I got to go home now. I take this gum home." Those were her last words.
Was there anyone else in the store at the time?
No.
No one else there at that time?
I'm trying to think. But you can believe this. I had another man that comes in. He cleans up, and he usually comes in at 4, and he does a little cleaning up around the area and outside. But he was there at the time. I just thought he was there. because after this happened, I talked to him about it, and he's the kind of person, he's quiet, and he stays to himself. He comes in and he cleans.
Who was that individual?
John Fibbis.
John Fibbis?
But he died. He died just back in February. He used to come in every day between 4 and 4:30, and he'd clean inside. He'd clean outside. And what happened was, I think when she came in, he was outside cleaning already. Because after this, I asked him about it. I said, John, did you see the little girl that came in? Well, everybody knew her because she'd come in the store all the time.
Yes.
And he says, you know what? He says, I was on the side of the building cleaning. He was sweeping, and he tends to his business. He never bothers nobody. Sometimes the kids may speak to him, or he may say hi, but usually he's a very quiet person. But anyway, he was outside on the side of the building cleaning. He says, and I asked him, I says, you know what? I says, I had told him what happened after, which was probably the next day when I heard about it. But I said, any other time, usually you're inside. He says, you know what? He says, I was outside sweeping. He said, and I looked up. He said, I seen her. I says, you did? He said, yeah, I was walking around the side of the building, and I saw her when she came out the door. But that's all he had seen. He said, I seen her, and I had told him what had happened the day before. And he says, you know what? Because usually he's an older gentleman, and he walked slow, and he was getting the job done. Usually he picks up cans or candy wrappers or potato chip wrappers, and as he comes out, he walks around to the side of the building and he cleans. He happened to go around the side of the building as he was cleaning. He said, I seen her as she came out the front door.
He didn't see anything else, just that she left the building.
She came outside,
You don't remember any other customers being there at that time?
Oh boy, it was a quiet time of day. I can't remember anybody, but I have so many customers coming and going, coming in and out. I don't know anyone's names. I just know them as I see them by their face. I can't remember.
Do you remember what she was wearing when she came into the store?
Yes, I do. She had a pretty little flowered dress on. I'm pretty sure it was pink or blue.
Pink or blue?
With flowers.
With flowers?
It's been 2 years ago, and I kind of have to sit back and think about it.
Do you remember anything else about the dress?
No, not that it had flowers, but the more I think about it, when she came in, and I said, are you by yourself? I just remembered, and she said, oh, that's my friend out there. I said, why don't you bring her in? She doesn't have to stand outside. And she said, oh, she's waiting for me outside. It was another little girl.
So there was another little girl too?
But she didn't come in. She stayed outside the door. And I don't know who it was, because I didn't see her. But I did happen to see. That's why I asked her. She said, oh, she's my friend. It was another little girl. The more I sit and think about it.
Do you remember if, you mentioned Jennifer's barrettes earlier, do you remember if they matched your dress or anything like that? You know, did they?
I commented on her dress, and I commented on her pretty barrettes. I wanted to say ribbon. Must have been a barrette. I said, oh, your hair looks pretty. I can't remember. They were so close to the color, I think, of her dress, I think.
They were pretty close to the color of her dress? And do you think that was your newspaper there yet?
I'm trying to think. Yes.
And if I remember what you said, your newspaper generally got there about 4:30, is that right? Then she came after your newspaper came, but before the news came on at 5. Is that right?
Right. Usually I turn the 5 o'clock news on Channel 8 comes on first. Then I turn over to the other station.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further on this?
Oh, yeah.
Anything else for the police?
No, thank you.
As I understand, we're done with witnesses today.
You're around.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be moving courtrooms. I'm not sure if Pat's discussed that with you yet or not. We don't have trial tomorrow, remember. But Monday we will be starting our trial and finishing our trial in courtroom 413, which is on the 4th floor. However, on Monday, report again at 9:30, and we're going to get started at 10. Because we've got to move everything, and we can't move it until Monday because there's a trial going on there through this week. There'll be a lot of jurors here Tuesday next week, but there's a big trial starting, I think, Tuesday of next week, and they'll be using this courtroom because they have a lot of jurors to go through as well. So we're going to have to start a little bit later on Tuesday. We'll start at 10, and I would ask that you be in your jury room by 9:30. Pat will then, once you're all together, take you upstairs and show you what the jury room is that you'll use for the remainder of the trial. And the courtroom that we will use for the remainder of the trial will also be on the 4th floor, courtroom 413. Keep the admonition in mind. Do not discuss the case with anyone. Continue to keep open minds. And we'll see you
I know that there was just meetings tomorrow.
This courtroom 410, if you could sign on it. And so if you want to do some stuff up there,
Unless that's the media.
no, there's another one that they had to sign for me.
We're here tomorrow, so is this going to be locked tonight, or if they lock it tonight, then we can come in and clean up, and we might, I can see what they have goes up there, but I think we're going to have to shuttle it back and forth no matter what.
I'm not sure if they have to use it.
Or what?
Well, we probably won't get booted out of the witness room until they've got the jury.
No, that room's been reserved for like 3 weeks before we can use it, so we're fine here. I'm just going to well.
I know. I bet she's got it.
Pat had mentioned leaving it here
Right, until Monday morning.
until Monday morning, because that's when we know where it's going to go. And we can't move it out from there because of their trial going on. So-
Right, and she won't be finished with that trial until sometime later tomorrow afternoon. Although I think, maybe we can ask Pat, I think she told me that nothing's happening in here on Monday. So
They probably assumed it was going to be taken, no matter what, so.
well, you don't start your jury trials till Tuesday anyway, right?
Right.
So Monday morning, we probably can start moving this stuff up as long as we can keep the room locked. We'll wait for Pat to
Okay.
And just you, so we're not starting court till 10 o'clock on both Monday and Tuesday. I think that's what he said.
I did.
I
Did I say that?
Say it like that.
Why didn't somebody stop me?
I was really, I don't know. Well, because I think you were thinking.
Because all the jurors coming in on Tuesday, they want to.
Monday's okay.
Monday.
But we need the time, so we can fix it.
Then we thought maybe Tuesday you were wanting them not to get
No.
caught up in the other jurors, so.
We started at 1:30.
Okay.
No, we can start at the time on Tuesday.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to stop me when I make those mistakes. I don't bite.
Hey, I think I got a little sweet,
Oh, Jimmy, how do you spell Model Tom Shop?
I think it's I-U, and Tom Shop's typical.
I'm just trying to check.
Oh, okay.